it is during the last 1 year that I have been in entrepreneurship on a full-time basis. Why do I give this background? I give this background because I know we have so many Kenyans like myself, people who juggle between employment and entrepreneurship, because either they love a space of entrepreneurship that is not the space of their work, or because the resources they're getting from their full-time outfit does not meet their their needs, does not meet their bills. For me, it was three things. One, of course, I loved the space of wellness. Two, the space I was in was not meeting my needs as per what I would have wanted. And three, the fun that I found in the wellness space. It has always intrigued me that we have a body that is given to us. It is a machine, and this machine can function 100% without us really touching any buttons. But at the same time, if not taken care of, it can stop. And so I have always been interested in the space of wellness, the role of food, the role of water, sleep, emotions, mindset in our day-to-day wellness. Above that, I've also been very interested in finding out what is this that our forefathers did that we are not doing? What is this that our forefathers did that we are not doing? And where does allopathic medicine and traditional wellness, where do they come together? What is the balance between what you and I can do as the persons that own the bodies, and what is it that is for the doctors or is for the allopathic medicine? Maybe that's a lot for this session, but one of these days we'll come together and delve into that space. But for today, the topic we want to delve into is to ask ourselves about the possibility of a personal franchise, and maybe even wonder or even share whether we have ever considered a personal franchise as a model of business. I know that many of us could be running franchises. Many of us could be involved in different sorts of franchises, but I know that we are very used to the traditional franchises. What is a traditional franchise? A traditional franchise is what we have with the petrol stations, is what we have with maybe companies like KFC, where you sort of buy the brand, and you buy the brand for millions of shillings so as to be able to run under that brand. And that is a traditional distributorship franchise. But has any one of us considered a personal franchise? I realized that in many parts of the world, and in Africa specifically, and maybe so East Africa, there is a way that we grow up, and the schools that we go to, and the lessons that that have been passed on to us and instilled in us that make us sort of live life in a very almost obvious direction. The traditional course of action is that we go to school, and like clockwork, we look for jobs. And it is very normal to find as parents asking our friends if we know of a place where our children who are graduating can be employed. But many times I wonder whether we misunderstand the place of education. Have we ever thought that maybe education is not necessarily for employment, but as a way to give us knowledge, as a way to give us ideas, as a way to give us skills to be able to innovate, to be able to create, to be able to run our own enterprises using the skills that we get. I know that is very controversial, and many would ask, so what happens to all the industries that need employees? I'm not saying that we shouldn't work. I'm just simply saying that maybe we over-rely on employment as a means of livelihood, as a means of finding our space out here. And no wonder we have so many people working in spaces that they do not enjoy. And maybe just if they were given a bit more of support, they would have delved into the place of their passion, into the space of their purpose, into the space that they feel most competent to build the nation from. Having said that, allow me to start sharing my screen so that we can get to discuss the case of personal finances a little further. Let me know if you're able to see my screen. Let me know if you're able to see my screen. You can give me a 1 in the chat box if you're able to see my screen. I don't know why I like a 1 so much. Are we able to see my screen? A 1 in the chat box would do. Anyone who's seeing my screen? Yes, thanks, James. Thanks, Virginia. Thank you a lot. I am saying that, proposing that a personal franchise is the lowest risk franchise, yet it is one that has capacity to earn you or to make millions in the long run. And I'm not saying that traditional franchises don't make millions, but traditional franchises require that you put in the millions in the beginning before it can make you the millions. But my question is, if your son, if your daughter, if you're the person that left high school or left university 1 year ago, 2 years ago, isn't it a little obvious that maybe one, you don't have the millions, two, you're not credit worthy, so you cannot get the millions from the banks, three, your parents, maybe if you're a regular Kenyan like myself, your parents will not have the millions to help you start a traditional franchise. So where does that leave the millions of us who could run a franchise, but by virtue of the fact that we do not have the millions upfront, cannot buy, cannot literally buy a traditional franchise? What if there are companies that allow you to run a personal franchise without having to put in the millions to buy the brand or to buy equipment or to buy the fixed assets, like in the case of a petrol station? What if there are companies that would allow you to run an independent business and literally have you running your own business without worrying whether you're employed elsewhere, whether you're running other businesses, but provide you with the products, with the marketing plan, with the know-how, and with one very key item, systems that allow you to run a business. One of the things that cause traditional businesses to collapse, I want to believe, is either the inefficiency of systems or the absence of systems altogether. Think with me very quickly the case of restaurants, the case of boutiques, the clothes boutiques, the places we go to buy our clothes. Have you heard of someone saying how they have to count their stock every 2 days, every 3 days, manually count their stock? Because technically they don't have a system to run their stock through, to know whether they're having the stock, to know whether they are losing any clothes. And therefore, in the long run, in the absence of those systems, sometimes the owner of the business loses a lot of their stock. Have you heard of restaurants that lose a lot of money in sales, in stock, just because their systems are not up to the level that is required to be able to capture what is going on in their business? And maybe because these owners of these enterprises do not have the capital in the beginning to pay for the systems required. Back to my idea of a personal franchise. What if a company was offering you the systems required, the know-how, the marketing plan, the products, and more importantly, doing the books for you to be able to run such a franchise? What if such a franchise did not require the same capital outlay that is required in a traditional business? Better still, what if this personal franchise did not have the room to risk your money like we see in traditional franchises? That is the kind of opportunity that I want us to consider this morning. I know very many of us have not been introduced to personal franchises. I have been in the space of personal franchises for the 15 years that I'm talking about, slightly over 15 years, while still working at a diplomatic mission. And the reason why I stuck in the space of personal franchises is because I began to understand the cash flow quadrant. I began to understand the place of a personal franchise in the cash flow quadrant, and I began to enjoy the low risk of a personal franchise in building a big business and in also being able to raise capital, to raise an investment for bigger ventures that are, passive income generating. So any one of us will be falling in 1, 2, or 3 of the, or even the 4 quadrants that we see in the cash flow quadrant. The cash flow quadrant, for those that may not be aware, belongs to one and only, or it is an idea brought forth by the one and only Kiyosaki. And it is an idea that is very ideal in understanding how we run our lives, in understanding our financial growth patterns, and in understanding how we can build businesses. Of course, so many of us have been employees. Those that have not been, interesting, they missed a part of life that is very interesting. And by saying that an employee has no risk doesn't mean that the employee themselves has no risk, but they do not own any risk to the business in which they are employed. The risk of that business is held by the owner of the business, by the organization that holds, or that is the owner of the company. But at the same time, their income is controlled by the owner of the company. So they cannot wake up and decide that they're going to scale their income by doing, by going back to school, maybe by, employing a new employee. That is not in their space. Sometimes in these employment spaces, even if you go back to school, it does not necessarily translate to increased income. And then we have the self-employed, and that is the E and the S quadrants to your left. And this is the person who has skills, and they decide that they're going to use these skills in setting up their own outfit. The case with self-employment, which gets confused a lot with big business owners in this country, is that a self-employed person is the person with the skills, is the only person with the skills. And maybe they have employed 1, 2, or 3, or even 10 other people, but people that do not have their skills. Or even if they have their skills, they are not partners, they are employees to the self-employed person. The self-employed person may control their income. They are able to control their income to a very good extent, but because they are the owners of the skill, if they are not working, the income stops too. And in very many self-employed outfits, they tend to collapse with the exit of the person who is the skill owner. We have seen businesses that have been passed on to family members or to other people, but that are unable to survive simply because either the person it is passed on to does not enjoy that line of work, or they do not have the skill to run that sort of business. And sometimes it gets the self-employed person working very many hours and very long without the ability to scale the business. Now, the right-hand side of the quadrant is where most of us would like to be, or would like to be able to combine the right hand and the left-hand side of the quadrant. The big business owner. The big business owner simply is a big business owner by virtue of being able to leverage. What is leverage? Leverage is the ability to multiply time so as to get more income from that time. An employee will go to work from 8 to 5. There is no way of multiplying that 8 to 5. Even if they were doing overtime, they can only do it for this long. But in a big business scenario, the owner of the business has the ability to leverage by having another 10 people doing the same thing that this one person is doing, and therefore for 8 hours, then they have 80 hours. The big business owner would be also able to scale their businesses without necessarily increased costs of scaling. Now, for a business owner to be able to scale without increased costs of scaling, they can only do so if they are in a personal franchise. And I'm going to come back to that. But in the traditional business setups, you cannot have 10 petrol stations without increasing the costs of getting the other 9. You cannot have 10 M-Pesa shops without having to increase the cost of running the other, setting up the other 10 M-Pesa shops. And last but not least, of course, is the investor. It is the person who makes a passive income and frees their own time by having money working for them. And this sort of setup has the ability also to be passed on to other generations because the owner, the investor, is not the one who is running the show. What if a personal franchise could be combined into a big business owner enterprise and an investment enterprise? How so? I want to introduce you to an industry that is very, very quietly not in the limelight. It is very, very ignored, but it is an industry that has seen us change our lives in the last 3 years, especially during the years of the COVID pandemic. It is an industry that got everyone thinking, how else can we improve our state of wellness? How else can we work on our lives so that we do not have to always depend on medication? Now, just so that you have an image of what the wellness industry is, because most people think it is just one area, the global wellness economy stands at $5.6 trillion as per the statistics of 2022. Beginning of 2023, the statistics tell us that football, the very acclaimed industry of football, which so many Kenyans are should I say glued to, yet they do not make an income out of it, especially the EFL, the NFL, they don't make an income out of it, but they spend a good amount of their time, possibly about 10 to 15 hours every week in an industry where they're losing time but not making money. That is the football industry. It is a paltry 3.3 billion USD industry compared to the wellness industry, which is a 5.6 trillion USD. The film, movies, and gaming industry, by the way, film and movies is a paltry 42 billion industry compared. Well, I'm saying partly. I'm saying partly in comparison to the wellness industry. 45 roughly about film, Hollywood movies, roughly 50 billion. What has raised that space is the gaming industry. The gaming industry is about 150 billion. So together, film, movies, and gaming bring about 200 billion in terms of what they bring into the market, in terms of what they bring to the economy. Why is the wellness economy so ignored, yet it's so large? It is because we tend to separate personal care and beauty. We tend to separate mental wellness. We tend to separate medicine, traditional allopathic medicine, Chinese medicine. We tend to separate these things. Public health, like what we saw a lot of in 2020, 2021, healthy eating, nutrition, weight loss. Can you believe it? Healthy eating, nutrition, and weight loss alone, it's 1 billion. It's a 1 billion industry on its own. The same with personal care, beauty. And of course, there is wellness tourism, which we do a bit of, not as much as the West does, but even Africa does a bit of it. If you think about open spaces, the parks, even places like Arboretum, places like spas, places where people go for meditation, such things, those count for places where wellness tourism can happen or might be happening in very, very small quantities in Africa, but obviously around the world, it is very, very big. Why do I bring these figures? I bring these figures because sometimes when we are thinking business, we think very, very narrowly in terms of what we can see. But what about the ability to scale your wellness business internationally so that you're benefiting from the mental wellness space, you're benefiting from wellness real estate by setting up spas, by setting up parks where people can come to feel better or to unwind? What if you can get into the personal care space? There is unending possibilities in the global wellness industry. But unfortunately, every time I speak to people about wellness, they think about just food, medicine, and supplementation. That is a very, very small space of the industry. It is for you to ask yourself, using the knowledge that you have, what else might you want to involve in your personal franchise in the wellness space so as to expand your possibilities of the income that you make from the wellness space? I know some of us are already running spas, some of us are already running beauty wellness spaces, others are in the sale of personal care products. How can you expand that? Do you realize even wellness in the space of coaching is also a part of the wellness, the global wellness industry? I know people who are nutritionists, but never think in terms of offering courses in nutrition. I know people who run salons, but who do not see it in their space to give hair wellness information, which is a part of the wellness space. I know people who are running spas, but don't see it in their space to give specific mental wellness information or solutions. Why should you be involved in the wellness space? Because we are living in unprecedented levels of unwellness. These are some of the signs that will tell you how much unwellness there is in the world. Digestive issues, general pain and inflammation, backache, headache, joint ache, stomach ache, whatever form of ache is a form of unwellness. Allergies, food allergies, skin allergies, those have become a lot more. People who cannot tolerate certain foods, people who cannot tolerate dust, people who cannot tolerate, certain foods, all those are allergies. And yet, the traditional allopathic space, we get told that there are no solutions for allergies. There are solutions for allergies, only they are not allopathic in nature. Brain fog, memory loss, excess weight. Excess weight is actually currently a pandemic in itself. It may not be very talked about in Africa, but even in Africa, we are dealing with a lot of cases of people carrying more weight than their bodies can live with, and therefore having a lot of joint pains, having a lot of respiratory issues, having a lot of cholesterol, high blood pressure, so on and so forth. Of course, there is stress, there is sleeplessness, there is fatigue. All these are signs of unwellness. Should you find yourself in any or exhibiting any one of these signs, what you should be asking yourself is, what can I do as a person to be able to take greater charge of my wellness so that the unwellness symptom does not progress to a disease? Now, the greatest challenge that we have in Kenya and maybe in Africa as a whole is people addressing symptoms for years. Unfortunately, so with allopathic medicine and unknowingly not maybe understanding whether the symptom they are addressing is a disease or it is just a symptom, or whether it requires that medicine. Why? Because many people are self-diagnosing and self-treating. People walk to chemists, to medicine shops, and just describe what they're feeling and ask for medicine. And for years, some people are on painkillers, not knowing that opioids and painkillers account for the third largest cause of death in the West. And if that be so, it must be accounting for a good percentage even in Africa. Now, did you know that your wellness journey, your family's wellness journey, can be part of your franchise? Why so? Because in normal circumstances, you still spend money for your wellness. When you walk to a shop and buy an essential oil, a painkiller, something for fatigue, something for allergies, when you walk to a chemist and buy those products, you're spending on your wellness or lack of, but you're not getting paid for it. What if you had an opportunity to partner with a health and wellness company whose mandate is actually to create personal franchises? A company that is pharmaceutical in nature, so that you are not concerned about whether the products you're consuming are of high standard, whether they meet the standards that you buy in the medical outfits or in the chemists. An outfit that is licensed to grant personal franchises, at the same time be able to address all your 8 dimensions of wellness: emotional wellness, occupational wellness, intellectual wellness, environmental wellness, financial wellness, social, physical, and even spiritual. I know you could be asking yourself, how would I address intellectual wellness in such an outfit? Because we have lessons, we have coaching, we have training that improves your knowledge on health and nutrition, that improves your knowledge of diseases and health, that improves your knowledge of health, that improves your knowledge on running a business. Most of the information that, or the knowledge that I have about how to run a business was given to me free through a wellness franchise. I could comfortably say that 90% of all the knowledge that I have about running a business, customer care, how to prospect, how to look for clientele, how to treat employees or partners in business, I have learned in the wellness space through a personal franchise, but for free. Some of these courses people pay up to the up of $500,000 to be able to get the information. Last but not least, personal franchise in the wellness space will give you a chance to eliminate or to reduce your hospital budget. You can confirm to me that in this country, medicine, health budgets, hospitalization is one of the biggest aches, is one of the largest headaches for families. And most of the contributions that we make in groups, raise funds, will be associated with medication, seeking further treatment, hospital bills, and so on and so forth. And therefore, running a personal franchise in the space of wellness gives you an opportunity to be able to reduce that budget, gives you an opportunity to be able to completely eliminate that budget and raise your personal wellness, your family's wellness, and the wellness of the people around you, at the same time raising an income, being able to have an income that can run into millions of shillings. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about a company that has accorded me a personal franchise for the last 2.5 years. I partnered with BF Suma in July 2021 on a part-time basis. I was still working for a diplomatic mission. And by the time I was resigning from the diplomatic mission, I had raised a sizable income. I resigned after 1.5 years into business. That is in December 2022. I was about to say 2021, then I remembered we're in 2024. I resigned in December 2022, having been able to overtake my full-time income that I had been making for 19 years in a diplomatic outfit. Very interesting. How is that possible? Remember, we are talking about a franchise that you can be able to scale. If you remember the cash flow quadrant, that you can be able to scale without incurring the traditional costs of scaling a business, that you can be able to leverage by expanding other personal, people holding other personal franchises through your invitation. Because it is a franchise like any other, the mother company, which is BF Suma, is able to monetarily reward your expansion. Because without you expanding to involve other personal franchises, then BF Suma does not get their products into the market. Who is BF Suma? BF Suma actually stands for Bright Future Superior Unique Manufacturer of America. It is an acronym for an American company that is Bright Future Superior Unique Manufacturer of America. Bright Future Superior Unique Manufacturer of America is a child of Bright Future Pharmaceuticals of Hong Kong. These Future Pharmaceuticals of Hong Kong are the investors, are the primary manufacturers and distributors of pharmaceutical products largely, but are the ones that have invested into the Bright Future Superior Unique Manufacturer of USA that patents in over 10 countries and more pronouncedly in USA, in Korea, in Japan, in India, in China, and which one? And Hong Kong, of course. Why am I talking about patents? Because R&D, in research and development, in manufacturing, there are procedures, processes, innovations that you want to own yourself because they're so high end, you do not want to release them to the market. They are yours and you patent them in several countries because you want to partner with those countries, either in getting the raw materials or in being able to distribute in some of those countries. And so that's what BF Suma has done. And so if you partner with BF Suma, you will notice that all the products will be manufactured either in USA or in Hong Kong. Bright Future has been manufacturing for over 30 years. Bright Future Superior Manufacturers of America have been manufacturing since 2006 in the USA. And in Africa, the company came in 2008. And believe it or not, which is quite unknown to many people, it pays in bonuses in excess of 50 million Kenya shillings every month in East Africa alone. Now, Bright Future runs out, Bright Future Superior Unique Manufacturers of America, that is a BF Suma, is headquartered in Westlands in Kenya. That is where they have their regional headquarters. But from the regional headquarters, they run wellness centers. Now, the wellness center that we are inviting you to is the one called the Ego Shop. You can see a part of it on this slide. It is a wellness center with over 5 medics that has a bistro, that has consultation, that has training room, and places to sit to be able to run your business, so that even if you're a part-timer, you can come and sit there on the hours that you're available to run your business, to enjoy a cup of coffee, coffee being one of our products, and also to have a chat with the people that are part of your network. And that is part of how we grow the social wellness part of the BF Suma Wellness. We interact with other business owners. We interact in social outfits like team building and trips out of the country and in the country to increase our mental wellness, to increase our social networks, to improve our environmental wellness. Now, BF Suma has got an array of products. The one thing I want to point out, because I may not go into the details of the products, the person that invited you to this session or the person that will give you this recorded session will give you the details of these products, what they are made of, what they can do for you. But I want just to highlight 3 things about these products. One, the BF Suma products are made from fruits, vegetables, herbs, seeds, roots of plants that we would ordinarily call food. Plants that we either consume as food or that we use for medicinal purposes. If you think about plants like ginseng, like turkey tail mushrooms, like Ganoderma mushrooms, red sage, red bamboo, all these are plants that are medicinal in nature, or they are food plants that are medicinal in nature, that are consumed as foods or that are used to prepare medical concoctions. Now, in the case of BF Suma, they ensure, and this is my second point, that they do not process these food and medicinal plants to make them chemicals. And that is why they are nutraceuticals. They are supplements because they have not been processed to the level of including other chemicals that makes them now the allopathic medicine. So for example, when we talk about Ganoderma mushrooms, you will notice that the pure and broken Ganoderma will only have that mushroom as the ingredient. Other than the vegetable capsule that it is encased in, it does not have another ingredient. That makes it a supplement, a health natural supplement, as opposed to chemical allopathic medicine. Number three, our supplements are in literally all the key body functions. They address digestive health. Why? Because 80% of your immune cells will be found in the gut. If you have a problem with the gut, your body is likely to have immune challenges. And if your body has immune challenges, you progress to a disease. So we always like to start our wellness journey with addressing the gut, so that once the gut is addressed, you have better digestion, you have better absorption, you have better elimination. Because you will agree with me that it is not so much an issue of eating very bad food, especially in Africa. But the question is, how well is that food digested? How well is your body able to absorb the nutrient value in your food? How well is your body eliminating? And if it is not doing these functions very well, your immunity becomes compromised. Yet, your immunity is your first line of defense. We confuse the place of immunity and the place of medicine a lot. Before you get to medicine, you should be taking personal responsibility for your immunity. At BF Suma, we take care of immunity using mushrooms. So we have the refined yunzi, which is the turkey tail. We have the Ganoderma mushroom, which is also known as a reishi mushroom. And then, of course, we have ginseng, which is a root very much associated with the mushrooms. Then we take care of cardiovascular health, things to do with diabetes, things to do with high blood pressure, nerve issues, things to do with poor circulation, things to do with the cerebrovascular health, and so on and so forth. And therefore, in this category of products, we are trying to address one of the highest causes of death in the world, that is cardiovascular conditions. We are not saying that you stop taking your medication. We are saying that we have plants like ginkgo biloba. We have plants like gymnema. We have products like detoxylate, which is made from soybean. We have that's like micro 2 cycle, which is made from red sage, that can help your body to recover faster, to maintain its state of health and wellness, and to prevent these conditions if you already don't have them. Then, of course, we have the bone and joint health products. You will bear me witness that a lot of our parents are already complaining of joint aches, arthritis, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and so on and so forth, backache. And sometimes they get to a point where they cannot even walk. These products really, really improve those conditions. And to some extent, some people are able to reverse their pain. They're able to reverse their conditions over time using these products. Now, notice that we take a lot of milk, But the question is your body able to break down the protein in milk to be able to have the calcium that we take milk for? Because largely people always say, oh, if you need a lot of calcium, take your milk. But are we able to break down the bovine calcium? Are we able to break down the protein from animals, from cows, so that we can be able to get the calcium into our bodies? That is a question for another day. Then we have products for men that address largely the prostate health and reproductive health. Prostate and wellness has become such a big problem, especially in Kenya. And we notice that men rarely go for prostate screening. The uptake is just up to about 4%. That is a very low uptake. I'm telling you how you can get your prostate checked for very paltry amount of money and without intrusive checks like we get in the traditional outfits. Then, of course, we have the anti-aging products that help to reverse aging. Now, when I talk about aging, I am not necessarily talking about how we look, which is a good thing, also how we look, but I'm more interested in the vitality, the agility of your body. Vitality being your body's ability to function as it did when you're younger, to serve you as it did when you're younger. Agility being the ability of your body to move as it did when you're younger. And of course, how you look is also a part of wellness. And these products will address that for you, including how your brain is degenerating. We are facing very high levels of memory loss, high levels of Alzheimer's disease, and so on and so forth. What if you would be able to reverse, even to a percentage, these cases of memory loss and other related conditions? Not forgetting that as the brain degenerates, so does the other body functions, because the brain is the one that sends the messages to the rest of the body, and therefore a very key aspect of wellness. Then, of course, we have the physical look wellness that now is addressed by skincare, and also that is addressed by other products that take care of hormonal balancing like Feminagy. Now, having talked a bit about the products, I will want you to contact the person that invited you here so that you can be able to get a lot more information about those products. They can be able to give you a health guide that analyzes every one of those products in detail. But in closing, allow me to tell you how you can partner and run a business with BF Suma. One, it requires that you register your business account, which is also your consumption account, with as little as 15,000 Kenya shillings, as little as $100, that allows you to get the literature, the information that I've been talking about the product, about the company, and at the same time get you products to get you started. Whether you want products in to sort out your gut, whether you want products to sort out your sleep patterns, weight issues, whatever it is you want to choose with the 15,000 shillings, it is your prerogative. It is you to decide, I want to start with these certain products. Number two, once you register that account, you're now going to be having entitlement to daily free sessions on business, on doctor sessions, physically and online. We have a lot of education in this business by our doctors, by the business gurus in this company by the company at large that helps us to run our businesses. Not to say that you cannot attend some of the sessions when you're not a business member, but when you're a business member, it opens to you a lot more learning that is not open to non-members. In a sense, it opens to you a school of business learning that improves your capacity to run businesses, this and other traditional business, that improves your capacity to network with other business owners out there, and that definitely is going to raise your investment capital. Remember, in the cash flow quadrant, we talked about investment. How can you become an investor if you do not have the capital to invest? BF Suma offers you an opportunity to be able to raise enough millions to invest in traditional businesses. And that is not an exaggeration. Last but not least, once you have the account, you enjoy discounted integrative, you enjoy discounted doctor's consultations, bioscans, follow-up and monitoring. You enjoy discounted rates for your supplements and all the other offers that the company gives its people. We have a very detailed pay plan. I do not want to go into the details of the pay plan. I'll just summarize it in 2 minutes. I have said for you to get started in BF Suma, you need to register an account. The account gives you a chance to buy your products. You cannot register an account without buying products. I really want to talk about our levels of star 1 and 2, because that is a level that we want to reserve for students. I would be concerned if those of us that are already into the working space for 10, 20, 15 years want to start our multi-million business with 10,000 shillings. And that is why I say very bare minimum. Come in with 15,000 shillings, but even that gives you a very small bonus percentage, which is 5%, but at least you get started. If you want to get started with your own products, you have a way to get started. Between star 1 and 7, we call it the learning phase. The beauty with the BF Suma learning phase is that you earn as you learn. For every single product that you buy, you get paid a bonus between 5% and 28%. In essence, we are saying if you spend 10,000 shillings and you're a star 2, 5% of that 10,000 shillings get returned to you. If you spend 10,000 shillings and you're star 7, which we call leader, 28% of that expenditure gets returned to you in a bonus on top of the 30% discount that you got when you're buying as a member. Non-members will get the same product at a price. Say, for example, if it is 5,000, you as a member will be getting it at 3,000 and something. That means you're getting a discount on your purchase. But at the same time, after you have bought that product at a discount, you get paid a bonus depending on your star level. What is a star level? A star level is the way we explain our marketing plan. Our marketing plan has got 12 stars, the highest being star 12. I want the person that invited you here to sit you down as you register your account, whether you're going to register your account for consumption or you're going to register your account for both consumption and so that you can run a business. They will be able to detail to you how you move from the learning phase. By the way, the learning phase can earn you up to 100,000 Kenya shillings and more. We have some of us who, not in the 9 of us, maybe 1 or 2 in the 9 of us, but we have a lot more people that are earning 100,000 and over still in the learning phase. And you can get to the learning phase in as short as 2 months, 3 months, a maximum of 6 months if you're very, very slow. And especially if you're in our team. Our team is known as the Brilliant Eagles, and we serve the team by training, by guiding them, by showing them what to do, and we will ensure that you're able to scale the learning phase in the shortest time possible. And as you go to stars 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, the company offers you other incentives that in the corporate space we call perks. Incentives like a car award. There are 2 car awards. One car award is worth $12,500. That is, we call it the normal car award. And these are real awards. I have been a beneficiary of a normal car award of $12,500. That was in 2022. We have another car award known as the luxury car award that is worth $25,000. And I like that BF Suma quotes its awards in dollars so that we can be able to have an idea how much we are able to make from the company. We have international travel and intercontinental travel. In fact, we have local travel between star 2 and star 7, which is a visit to the Masai Mara. Then we have intercontinental travel. This last year, the travel was to South Africa, Cape Town. We have international travel, which is worth $4,000. Last year, we traveled to Hong Kong. Why Hong Kong? Because Hong Kong is the mother country where we have the core industry of BF pharmaceuticals. So we went to see the industry itself so that when I'm speaking to you, because I traveled there, I know I am not lying. I know this is real. I know that the products that we are talking about are being produced in a pharmaceutical outfit with doctors, with scientists, with researchers, with an expansive factory that spans a very large area that I may not even be able to, to analyze. But what I mean is that an area that takes you over 20 minutes to be able to cover one factory building to the last one. Then we also travel to Thailand because the BF Suma travel is usually a holiday, not a learning travel. So yes, you visit the mother company, but you also go for holiday. This year, the international travel takes us to the USA to see the BF Suma, Bright Future Superior Unique Manufacturers of America outfit in Los Angeles. By the end of the year, God willing, we will be telling you how the place looks, whether we are talking the truth, and but there are people that have already been, haven't been, I'm going this year, and I'll bring back that information. And as you come to star 12, star 11, star 10, you get awarded a car. I've already talked about the car. You get awarded insurance. The insurance package has changed. It largely used to be accident cover. This year, it is encompassing even inpatient and outpatient. And there is a villa fund. This is the only direct sales company, personal franchise company that I know that offers housing as a benefit of running your business. Now, in the corporate space, the reason we get to choose certain outfits and not others is because of 1, insurance, 2, car loans, 3, housing fund or what would call mortgage facilities, and maybe travel and training, actually those 5. I want to assure you that when you partner with BF Suma, all those things that I've mentioned are a byproduct of you growing your business. What do I mean? I did not travel as a payment for my business. I traveled as a benefit besides the bonus that I make every month from the company. What do I mean? I am holding an insurance cover for 2024, not as part of my bonus, but as a benefit of being a star 12 in the business of BF Suma, and so on and so forth. And I am only using myself as an example so that you can understand what I'm saying. And like many people like to ask, is this for the people at the top? Allow me to finish by saying, I started with BF Suma. I partnered with BF Suma in July 2021. This company came to Kenya in 2008. I know people that partnered with BF Suma in 2010, 2015, 2017 that have not been able to grow their business to star 5, to star 7, to star 10, to star 12. Why? It is not a question who started first. It is always a question of, do you have a system of running the business? Are the people that you're running the business with supportive enough? Is there commitment for training? Is there commitment for opening the wellness centers so that people who are in full-time employment can be able to visit the centers over the weekends, in the evenings after work? Such commitment is what will determine whether you as a person will be able to run a fruitful enterprise with BF Suma. For example, Phyllis is barely a year in business. And in her time in business, she has been able to grow to star 7, to a leader level position. And she's scaling it. And everybody else here, and Dolly here is one of the persons that traveled to South Africa because of growing her business to star 7 and beyond. And they are barely 2 years old in business. Actually, they are not 2 years old in business. So it is not how long you've been in business that determines your income. It is how well you're running your outfit as a business, like any other business, and whether you're following the basics of the business concept.